Hello everyone and welcome back to Kralizec Gaming. Welcome back to SteemTrail Gaming News. Today is the 16th May of 2018. My name is Kralizec and I will be your host for the evening. Today we got two stories for you guys. First, we're going to take a look at Valve, as it seems they're hiring some people to finally make new games. And secondly, we're going to take a look at Sony, as they decided to no longer produce any physical media for the PlayStation Vita system. So let's begin with Valve. And the story essentially started a few months ago when Gabe Newell, the CEO and owner and just the guy behind Valve, said that Valve would actually start making games again. And to fulfill that statement, the publisher is now hiring people to work on quote-unquote top secret games. We really don't know what these games are, whether they are sequels to already existing titles like Half-Life 2, Portal, or any other IP that is owned by Valve. But my own personal guess is that for the moment, they are most likely going to be new IPs. We do know of at least one game Valve is actually working on, and that is Artifact, the upcoming collectible card game from Valve that's going to be based in the Dota universe, which I'm actually looking forward to very much. I might even try to stream that for a bit. But I think Valve is going to be really scared of going into Half-Life or Portal 2, as these games will have so much hype behind them if they ever get leaked or information about them gets released before they actually get released, that it will be unattainable to actually reach the goals people expect from these games. You need to remember, we have been waiting so long for another Half-Life game, so long for another Portal game, and these games are such gaming classics. We would just expect so much, and it is very hard to fulfill such expectations on the side of a developer. So instead, I do believe that it will be completely brand new IPs. So what employees is Valve exactly looking for? So first of all, they are looking for people who have experience with narrative-driven experiences. This suggests that the story will have a large focus on the story, maybe suggesting a single-player game. It could be anything. It could be an adventure game. It could be an RPG. It could honestly be even Half-Life 3, but I doubt that. I do believe that hell will freeze over before we see Half-Life 3. And if we ever see Half-Life 3, it will use of some new technology that will be on the market, let's say, of a really well done and well accessible 3D system, VR. Apart from that, they're looking for talent that has some writing talent. So again, that suggests the same. The story will be a heavily story-focused game. But it doesn't matter what's really in development. Anything Valve will be producing will have tons of hype surrounding it. And I would suggest that you guys be very careful to jump on the hype train. Have your expectations as low as you can manage before, well, that will mean that you will not be disappointed. And our second piece of news is about Sony, as they decided to shut down production of physical PlayStation Vita games. This is probably not a big surprise to anybody. PlayStation Vita gets rarely any titles released, and it's in general a system that I believe came a bit too early and never really found its identity. It had to compete against the 3DS system, which was much cheaper, much more portable, and in general I do believe it used its mechanics better. PlayStation Vita had few weird things, let's say the gyroscope, the light detection mechanic, front and rear touch capabilities that weren't really executed that well. It was just a system that came at exactly the wrong time. And I do believe that Sony is actually very unhappy with the results the PlayStation Vita had. I personally preferred it to the Nintendo 3DS as it had more power in it and thus had better graphically looking games. And at that time, I will be honest with you guys, I used to be a bit of a graphics whore. Not so these days. These days I prefer pretty graphics, but they don't have to have high fidelity. I prefer original art styles because I think I just grew up. Graphics are not what makes the game. They can obviously influence how the game feels, but a really well done art style itself can make a game feel just amazing even though it's a 2D game. You don't need to have amazing 3D capable graphics to enjoy a game, even though for some reason console players still focus on that at large. Seriously, I think my favorite game last year graphically was Pyre, just because of the personality its art style had. I just loved that. I ate that up like, well, a bee eats honey, I guess. On top of that, I do believe this is essentially the last thing we will ever hear about a PlayStation Vita system in general. Otherwise, maybe like news in a few years that there is no longer going to be any technical support for the PlayStation Vita system. Because, well, who's going to be gaming on it? The people who do want portable gaming with some power attached to it these days, well, they will buy a Nintendo Switch. And the people who just want a portable gaming device, well, they either game on their phone, or on their tablet, or, again, on the Nintendo Switch, or on the Nintendo 3DS. And since we had actually rumors of a mini version of the Switch coming to the market in a few years, that may be the solution for the people who are looking for a replacement for the 3DS and don't want to go for something as big as the Switch is. So, I think it was a valiant effort, but sadly it did fail on the side of Sony. It was a bit too ahead of its time. It had features nobody really wanted, and in general, it was just not that great. And with that being said, that's going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving us a thumbs up here on YouTube and subscribing to the channel. If you are watching on Steam, maybe you want to give us an upvote and follow the blog. Either way, be sure to leave a comment and be sure to tune in tomorrow for more gaming news, as we are your source of daily gaming news every single day. See you guys later with more gaming content.